Walking without skin. Managing adversity with vulnerability.
Pain is wrong, every inch of my heart like an open wound. I can't go on, I'll drown if I don't stop the bleeding soon.
ABC Change for Life. Acceptance. A stands for acceptance, B for belief, and C for choice. So acceptance plus belief plus choice equals change. Become aware of what you're thinking, because thoughts and words have energy.
Where can I find some protection to prevent this ongoing infection? I'm walking without skin. Walking without skin.
You are listening to Walking Without Skin, the show where we encourage our guests to be vulnerable, to share their voices with authenticity, to tell their stories from the heart. We will talk about hope and recovery, about overcoming loss, changes, challenges, and adversities. We will walk without skin.
How will I know when it's safer? When every step feels like sandpaper. I'm walking without skin. I'm walking without skin.
And here is your host, Lois Wagner.
Hi, I am Lois, your friend for forgiveness and the creator of Walking Without Skin. I have a book with the same title, Walking Without Skin. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting to Angelika Breukers, all the way from the UK. I am in South Africa. So Angelika is the founder and CEO of the ABC Change for Life and is an author, a Bowen therapist, and Change for Life coach and mentor. Hi, Angelika.
Hi. Thank you for having me this morning.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Angelika, before we get into what it is that you do, I'd like you to tell me what you think of the phrase, what it means to you, walking without skin.
Walking without skin. Well, to me, that means walking without skin is walking with the truth. Kind of without the skin, perhaps the skin, the mask that we have and put on in our life and hide behind it. And walking with skin is to walk truly as we are, because the truth sets you free.
Lovely, the truth sets you free. So, Angelika, let's start by telling our audience who doesn't know what it is. What is Bowen therapy?
Yeah, the Bowen technique, you believe, and it affects the physical, mental, and emotional body. And there are very gentle rolling type of moves on precise points of the body, stimulating the healing mechanism that we have already within us. You know, it's like when you cut yourself, the brain doesn't ask you, what do I need to do? Does it automatically, because it knows how that part of your finger needs to be and what the skin type is, and it just heals. And it stimulates the lymphatic system, so therefore we get rid of toxic in our body. Then the blood circulation is stimulated, relaxation and healing in general. It's a holistic therapy, and sometimes for example, when somebody has a bad back, we get used to it and the body gets used to it. So it accepts it and then it moves somewhere else and they get preferred pain somewhere else. So we just need to kickstart it again, creating awareness. There is something to sort out. And by making these rolling type of moves, I just wait for a moment and then the brain registers that that's where I am. And then it's checking, what do I need to do here? Is everything as it should be? And then it does what it needs to do.
And how many treatments would the average person need?
Well, it depends from each case. In general, I sort of like 3 weekly sessions, and then I personally face the treatment out. Yeah, so that it really manifests, because we are doing all our compensation. We can end up like this, due to emotional or physical stress. So we realign. So then after you've been for 3 sessions, come back in 2 weeks, or then come back in 4 weeks. So I have treated so many different modalities, that I've treated people with Parkinson's and MS. So they need more treatment on a regular basis. So it's not a cure, but it's about quality of life.
Fantastic. Well, now let's talk about ABC Change for Life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, ABC Change for Life. Acceptance. A stands for acceptance, B for belief, and C for choice. So acceptance plus belief plus choice equals change.
Okay, so how does it work? What do you do?
What I do is I also do workshops. When I facilitate workshops, I take them through that program. And my strapline is change your story and change for life. So the acceptance, we have to accept what has or has not happened to us. If we don't, then it keeps us in the past. We keep fighting it and trying to change something that we can't change anymore because it already has happened. So a lot of people get stuck in the past, and it stops them from moving forward. So they're stuck in the past. And it's finding, with acceptance, finding a way to have them find the mental agility to forgive, to let go, to embrace, to be able to move on.
So how do we do that? How do we just accept that this thing has happened to us?
Yeah, so how do we accept that? Is the best way of explaining is this, because I would like to be able to say, go straight ahead, you come to a roundabout, and then you take a left, and then you take a right. That would be great, but it's something we have to find within us. Yeah, the forgiveness. And it's finding that, we say there is a silver lining in every cloud. It's literally kind of finding it within us to stop the fight against it, the realization, the awareness that you cannot change it. I don't know if you or your audience, I'm sure you're aware of the serenity prayer. Yeah. Yes. Let me accept, what I can't change, but give me the wisdom to look at what I can change, because we have a choice. So this is my C, choice. We have a choice, and we need to shape our thoughts, becoming aware of our thoughts, so that we can shape our lives. And by becoming aware of what we're thinking, like, for example, if somebody focuses on something that they don't want or something negative, is becoming aware that they're actually doing that. It's embracing that, not suppressing it, but then actually saying, well, thank you very much for that thought, may it be negative or fearful, and then focusing on what you actually want to think. For example, if somebody has a thought about the past, it's like, okay, I've been thinking this for so long. Do I really still want to focus on that and allow it to hold me back? No. So thank you. Embrace it. Do not suppress it in your thoughts or with the physical emotions that might come up. And then it's like, this is what I want to think. And by that, you're changing the energy.
And where does the belief come in?
Belief is continuously there, and what I mean by that is, on a daily basis, if we are really aware of what we're thinking and also what we're saying, people that say, oh yeah, that's me, I'm so stupid, I always do that. or, automatically we in overdrive. And it is not true. One is not stupid. Yes, it's the daily thoughts on what we focus on and what we're thinking. And it's by becoming aware of what we're thinking that we can choose, make the right choices for us to think, because it's all to do with the story that we tell ourselves and others. I have been through this process myself. And yeah.
I was going to ask you, what led you to do this work? What prompted you to start the journey that you are on?
Yeah, the journey, basically, I'm just going to share the landmarks, okay? The journey was being born into domestic violence. So physical, mental, emotional abuse. My father was an alcoholic. From the age of 5, he started to sexually abuse me. Then when I was 9 years old, round about that, because with the trauma, you don't remember exact ages and years, but round about 9 years old, he told me that when I grow up, then I'd be working as a prostitute for him to make him a lot of money. So, of course, the seed was planted because we open and, self-esteem, worthiness is just doesn't exist. So, and that was the belief that was given to me by my parents. Not we trust our parents, but unfortunately that was not a good message to give to a child. So the seed was planted, and in time to come, round about when I was 18, I attracted the man into my life that introduced me to this profession, and I worked as an escort for many years in London. Left him, stayed in the business for another 2 years. And what I did is I looked for opportunity actually to change my life. And I speak German, so I thought, well, I go into airlines and see if they want somebody that speaks German. But I didn't quite have the courage because I didn't know what they would ask me. I wouldn't have the answer. And so what I wasn't aware of, I was setting the intention, because I used to walk Piccadilly Circus, Regent Street, looking for little, in those days, you had little cards in the window. Anyhow, at a dinner party, a friend of mine said, well, I know you are looking for a job, a daytime job. Would you be interested coming and working for us? So I said very quickly, yes, before the parrot appeared on the shoulder and said, no, what are you doing? You can't do that. Went for the interview and got the job. So I started a career in the city in an IT company for sales support, customer service. And I stayed in that career for many years. And the last corporate company I worked for was is a well-known IT company. I left there and I became a Bowen therapist. And I practiced the Bowen therapist for 14 years. And once you're in that, then you come across Reikis. I'm a Reiki master. I learned vortex healing, so dipping my toes into many different therapies. Somatic healing, I learned somatic healing. And now I want to do this. I'm doing this to give people hope. Yeah, change for life is possible in spite of thinking it isn't. And I absolutely love the person that I became.
That is wonderful. And it's so wonderful to be able to give back. I just want to go back a little bit. What prompted you to want to change, to get out of that lifestyle?
What that wanted me to change? It was this drive in me. Yeah. The drive in me was that this can't be my life. There must be something more out there. And we are born with the tools that we need to do what we came here to do. That's how I feel. And because of my tools, I wanted to grow. I knew there was more to me than that. That was not my life.
And what gave you the courage to say yes to that job offer?
Because I really wanted it. I really wanted to change. It's realizing there is a fine line.
So it's really saying, it's really identifying what you don't want in your life and what you do want to replace it with, and then having some future goal or aspiration.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's right.
That is such a story, and I'm so pleased you have found your way out of it. You know, we talk about a post-traumatic growth, and we talk about a benefit mindset. And that is what is so important, where you learn from your experience and then you give back to others. And that's the benefit mindset, where you actually go to benefit. Your work now helps hundreds of people out there.
Yeah, that's right. And it's been, then they're being heard or seen. They can get in touch with anybody that is trauma informed and actually do something about it when they're ready. It is just so important, because otherwise it's the shame, the guilt that holds us back. And people forget that shame is actually something because of somebody has been doing something to you.
Well done, and it's a very exciting journey to be able to learn all of these modalities and to be able to use them to support others. Can you share one incident with me where you've had a client that has touched your heart, or maybe even changed the way you think or operate?
Yes, there is. There is a young lady I'm working with, and she has been traumatized from as early as 5. I can really feel her pain, even though she is doing well. And in the way it touched me, because I can feel it, I can sense it. It just showed me there is more that needs to be done. Yeah. Going the extra mile to help sometimes, because if I don't do that for her, when I recognize that she needs more than what I'm giving right now, and there is more I can give, which I will, then she will slip through the system. So it's just creating an awareness. We have to focus on, or I have to focus, maybe in general we have to focus to bring the mind, the body, and the soul together to help them to reconnect who they really are, because the trauma is also in the emotional body. Well, it's in the emotional body, but also it's in the physical body on the cellular level. And I have the tools, because I'm, even though I do some Bowen sessions here and there, so I'm just going the extra mile, and I have to, do that, looking at it from a bigger picture and to see what I can do more and better to achieve.
What do you say to those skeptics who say, oh, this is a load of nonsense, you've got to go to conventional therapy, or you've got to go onto medication? What do you say to those people?
Well, what I would say is that, yes, that is your choice, but have you thought about that is maybe not necessarily the right route to go? If it keeps them safe, if they're a danger to themselves, then of course that needs to be done. But if there are, because what happens is that to be able to set us free from the trauma, the experiences, and by the way, if I just sidetrack a little bit, is trauma, the word trauma needs to be de-traumatized. Yeah. It is, we are wounded, we're all wounded, because when we speak about trauma, everybody thinks about sexual abuse, the worst. But bullying is a trauma, is a wound. Yeah, it's all we wounded. So, and when we want to process what we have experienced, we basically need to experience, and therefore we have these feelings, and the pain is coming back. And the body thinks, oh, this is happening again, but it isn't. It is just how we were made to feel at the time when it happened, all that time ago. So they're not ready to do that. So If it keeps them safe, it's their choice. They're not ready to do it a different way.
What is the best advice that you have ever given somebody who's on a similar journey?
The best advice, keep reading.
I love it.
Breathing, yes, keep breathing. Breathing is so important. It's the breathing, taking a deep breath, making sure that we breathe into our pelvic area. Because what I learned, if we breathe just here to the rib cage, and if we are stressed, then the fight and flight kicks in. So that sets the whole kind of system off. If we go past that and breathe deep into our abdomen, then it calms us down. It keeps us grounded.
It's so important to keep grounded, and there's, just to get out into nature or to do a bit of movement also.
Yeah, movement, exactly. Going for a walk. It's looking for the things where you can self-regulate. If it is cooking, do some cooking. If it is painting, do some painting. Become aware of your thoughts. The sun is coming out now. I move slightly. It's learning to self-regulate, finding what calms you down, where you feel totally in your flow.
And to go and sit in the sun when the sun comes out.
Yeah, exactly, which I love doing. It's finding that, going for a walk, like you say, movement, and also becoming aware of your thoughts. Because when we get stressed and we get triggered, our mind, our brain just runs off 1,000 miles an hour down. Oh, everything is bad and it gets worse. And we're creating a story that actually is not true in the now. It's the thoughts from the past that come in and we think it's happening again. So try to be aware of your thoughts, welcome them and change them. Make a list. I did this process. I made a list of what I actually wanted to think because I know the thoughts that came in that I didn't want to think, that made me feel, had a negative effect on me. It's like when you start to feel not energized, your energy is taken away, or you're feeling down, or even slightly depressed, become aware of what you're thinking. Because thoughts and words have energy, and change that.
Your thoughts create your world.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we need to get hold of our thoughts, the subconscious mind has recorded everything of what has happened to us. And also it has a job to protect us. So it misreads situation, and then it brings up thoughts, alarm bells go off. And then you say, we have to learn to know, no, that is the past. This is the now. Let's try and stay in the now.
If you could have a billboard on the side of the street with anything on it, what would you say on that billboard?
I would say, change your story and change for life. Change is possible in spite of thinking it is not.
Simple and very, very important.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a movement, a project called Brave, and the objective is to stop bullying, harassment, and sexual violence. In that context, what does the word brave mean to you?
Brave. Brave. What comes to mind is to be brave is, well, I share a little story if that's okay.
Please.
That will explain it, yeah? When my father was found out that he was abusing me, he was asked to go, so he left. But I used to see him in town. We used to live in a village, we go to town, and my energy just would pick up when he was in town, and whoa, there he is. I could see him coming. So what I did is I hid behind people, or I walked into shops because I was scared. And then I realized it's the realization of I am scared. Do I want to be scared every time I go into town? No. So I realized I didn't want that to happen each time. So I realized that. So what can I do about it? Is I can go and visit him. I knew I was safe because he had a new partner, and I just went and knocked on his door. I went in, and I think I was around about 11 or 12, and I just walked in, and we had a conversation. I can't remember what we talked about, but I had a liberating feeling. So being brave is when you have an awareness something isn't quite right, and making the choice and the decision to actually do something about it, even though we feel fear.
That's
fear. Yeah?
That's an excellent definition. I love that.
Yeah.
So, Angelika, was your father never held accountable for what he did?
No. This is a very long time ago. This happened, and he wasn't held accountable. It wasn't spoken about. We're going back to the 60s. It wasn't spoken about. So, yeah.
And do you have a relationship with him now?
He has died. He died many years ago. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to overcome his alcoholism. And, so basically the alcohol killed him. So, yeah.
And was your mother aware of what was going on?
No, she wasn't aware. It was a very toxic environment. Everybody was trying to survive.
So what can you say to young girls today who are potentially in a similar situation?
Find somebody that you can trust and open up. Because what happens is, from day one, my father, when he touched me inappropriately, he immediately, this is our secret. You are my girl now. So it's almost like brainwashing, mind control, in a way, like, do not say anything. Find the right person. Reach out to all these phone lines and start opening up and sharing, because you're going to be fine. It's okay. You're not a bad person. It's something that has been done to you and has formed you in the way that you are now, with all the guilt, with the shame, not feeling good enough, not being worthy. It's not true. It's how I'm trying to say is a belief and values that have been given to you about you. They're not your true values and who you are. That is not your soul. So it's kind of, if you open up then and you talk to somebody and get help and find somebody that is trauma informed, then they can help you to take one layer off after the other. It's like an onion. For years I've been taking one layer off, then another layer off, and then until I get to the core of who I really am.
Oh, it is such a trying journey. It is so difficult. As adults, we can handle it so much easier, but as children.
Yeah.
So.
It is so painful. So, yeah.
So, Angelika, do you do your work virtually or only in person?
No, I do my work virtually. I do some virtual workshops and local and mentoring and coaching. I do that over Zoom.
You can't do the Bowen over virtually.
No, unfortunately not. But I can send my intention. It's because this is nice, with vortex healing, with the Reiki, and the breathing technique that I do is actually I can help but with the participants of the person that I'm doing the session with. Even with the breeding, it's fantastic. And and I hold a safe space for people, even virtually, which is fantastic that we can do that.
So what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Wow. Okay. Best piece of advice is another little story. I keep it short. It was a realization. I was out with a client and he says, "What is a wonderful woman like you or young woman doing this?" And it's like, well, this, that. I don't have the confidence to get a job. And that was long before I left. And he says, "Look," and I told him I kept trying, looking to learn ticketing, Office for British Airways, learning some skills to help me to make the move. And he said to me, "You never know what's round the corner." And that is just so true. So it wasn't advice and such, but that statement is like, wow, yes, that is so true. Because then you remember, oh yeah, a couple of good things have happened. And I didn't know that was going to happen. So it's a little link to hope.
Fabulous. So it's been open and aware to opportunities and looking out for something new.
This is it. And in the acceptance workshop, I go back to basics. We have to accept where it's the attitude, becoming aware of the attitude, what we're thinking. We have to take some reflection on where we are in life. And we have to take action, because without action, nothing happens. And in that process, also, we have to be kind to ourselves and don't beat ourselves up.
So true. So very, very true. If you look at your time, your pre-life, were there any highlights, real highlights or real lowlights from that life when you were, before you got a job, before you started your career?
Yeah, are you talking about the escort time or as a child?
No, as an adult, as a young adult.
As an adult. Oh yeah, the low times was feeling this incredible pain. Yeah, and it really is. How can I describe it? It has a devastating effect. It's the despair, the feeling of despair. And then I just stayed with it and tried to process it the best I could. And then things change, the energy comes back. Yeah. And of course, the highlight was when, one really good highlight is when I was in my first job in the IT company. I met my husband. He's now an ex-husband, but I met my husband, and it was a great time. And he came into my life to hold me there where I needed to be.
Yeah, that's also an important point, to find that somebody that you can have as a support to lean on and to share. It's so important to share.
That's right. We are, we're not together anymore. And he came into my life to do what he needed to do for me. And then he needed to leave so that I could grow into the person that I have become now, even more. Because when he left and the way it happened, it just opened the floodgates.
You've got such a wonderful attitude. It's so positive and it's amazing. So well done. I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how can our listeners get hold of you?
They can send me an email. We email to, or if they go into my website, which is Angelika, which is literally my name, angelikabreukers.com. They can email me, they can call me, or if they email me, we can arrange a Zoom session. Yeah. I offer is a 20-minute chat, no obligations, and then they see what they want to do. So if they want to do that, that would be great.
And I'll put all your contact details in the show notes so that people can reach you.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm just so excited about this. I've written a little book.
Uh-huh.
And we had a few glitches. I revamped it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Free to Be Me.
Fabulous.
You got my logo, acceptance plus beliefs plus choice equals change. Is that right? And the paper copy will be all done with Amazon soon, you know, technology and all that. It saves a few glitches. But in this little book, I shared my story, the landmarks, and talk about acceptance, belief, and choice. But also there are some questionnaires, and there is the outline, just an outline of my workshop.
Oh, fantastic. So when will that be available?
Yes, it should be available in a couple of days. There is some technical stuff going on. We uploaded Kindle, the paperback, and there were some old copies. I just revamped this. I rebranded it. So we're trying to get rid of the other copies to unpublish them. But it takes some time, a few days, before it catches up with Amazon. And before they do that. So,
well, everyone, do look out for that. It looks like it's a fascinating book, which will certainly help you to get going on your journey to change.
That's right. And everybody, you know, the ones that are interested, contact me because, you know, and we have a chat and see how I can help.
So any final words, anything you would like to finally share with our listeners so that they can manage their journeys?
Is to become aware of what you're thinking. We need to change before we can't change, and this is a quote from Einstein. We can't, and many other people, and we're aware of this. We cannot make a change with the same mindset that we have created or the situation that we are in. And take a step at a time. And learning is very important.
Yeah, lifelong learning keeps the brain young as well.
That's right. And I don't know, you're probably aware, but there are some leading people in the field that know now that when I experience developmental trauma, that the brain actually can't develop properly because of the stress. So there are people like Gabor Mate, Peter Levine. Find them on YouTube. Get some new information and hear from the expert that we can heal our trauma.
And there's so much study today on the brain and how our mind works. And we're learning new stuff every day. Yeah. So we need to keep updated as to what is happening.
Absolutely, because all these years ago, when I had my first counseling session, I told my counselor, I says, there is something wrong with my brain. And she goes, no, there is nothing wrong. And she, you know, there wasn't the science about at the time when I was having that conversation with her. But yeah, there is. The brain just doesn't grow properly, doesn't communicate properly. It just takes over, and then we don't learn how to self-regulate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for all your insights, Angelika. I think there's a lot of input there, a lot of tips and advice for our viewers and our listeners to just start with your thoughts. It's a good place to start.
Yes, it is.
So thank you very much for joining us, and I invite all of our audience to fly free.
Thank you for listening to Walking Without Skin. We would love your feedback, opinions, suggestions, and ratings. Please share this podcast far and wide to encourage more people to share their stories with vulnerability and authenticity.